Hey guys, John here from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So, ReValver is back with version 5 and ReValver had a baby with Headrush, which is kind of cool. So let's dive in and see what's new and also find out if ReValver is still relevant. Before I show you guys what this plugin has to offer, let's take a listen to one of the new Headrush amplifiers. Okay, check it out. Alright, that sounded pretty cool, didn't it? More about the settings of that intro clip in a couple of minutes, okay? So, ReValver is back! I remember with the older versions that it was quite a popular platform. A lot of people loved ReValver for its realistic amplifier tone, the officially licensed Peavey and Budda amp models, the in-depth tweakability, and the user interface. However, since ReValver's original inception, a lot of competing products have entered the market. So, can ReValver keep up? Is it still relevant? Let's find out. I want to do some more sound demos and show you the settings that I used and stuff like that. But first, let's take a look at what this plugin has to offer. When you load up the plugin, at the top of the screen you can see your signal flow or signal chain. We have these handy auto set in and output level buttons that I recommend using throughout your preset creation in order to get some good in and output levels. You can also set those levels manually with the slider below the metering, by the way. When you click on the input mixer, you get some handy tools like a gate, a tuner, and the unique ACT instrument modeler. You can use this to sort of make tone matches or models of certain guitars or pickups so that you can sort of paste them on top another guitar. So that's pretty cool and unique. You don't see that very often. And then as you can see, you can create two separate signal chains on top of each other. You get chain A and chain B. In the stomp section, which is basically your pedal board, you can choose between a wide variety of effects. There is even a third-party plugin loader, which is kind of cool. So if there's a stomp box missing that you have in another plugin, for example, you can just load it inside of the plugin here, which is quite nuts, actually. You get all sorts of cool stomp boxes like modulation effects, drives, distortions, boosts, wahs, special effects from Budda, which is cool and unique, reverb, pitch effects like whammies and the drop tune, a feedbacker, and so on. So that's a lot of stuff for sure. And the effects that I tried for myself sounded excellent, and I did have fun with these effects for sure. And then in the amplifier section, firstly, you can choose 3 types of different cabinet blocks. You get the RIR cabinet modeler, which is basically a simple IR loader that you can use to either load your own IRs or some of the IRs that come with the plugin, including the Headrush cabinets that are ported over from the Headrush hardware into this plugin. And the RIR2 cabinet modeler, which is unique to the ReValver platform, is where you can choose a cabinet, mic, and the mic position, as well as other adjustments like EQ shelves and ambience. And in this cabinet block, you can load cabinets from brands like Angle, Mesa Boogie, Orange, Peavey, and a bunch of other stuff. So there's a lot of stuff to choose from here. And I also believe that there is impedance interaction between the ReValver amp models and this cabinet block, so that makes it sound more realistic, basically. Now, in terms of the amplifiers, we have many options. All the old ReValver amps are here, as well as the newly added Headrush amps. So it's a good selection for sure. You get Fender amps, Vox amps, Marshall amps, Boogies, an Engel, and of course the Peavey amplifiers. And there is even the ACT combo, which was also there in the previous version. And this is basically an amp profiler or capture unit. So that's also quite handy. And another thing that's crazy and that I always also found crazy with the older versions is that with the ReValver amplifiers and I think most of the effects, you can go in and actually tweak the schematic, which is kind of nuts and it's very in-depth. It's too in-depth for me, but it's there if you want it. In the effects section, you get post effects like delay, reverb, EQ, rack effects that you can basically place after your amplifier. And in the output mixer, again, you get some handy tools to finish off your tone, like EQ and a compressor and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in ReValver, a lot of tools to create your tones. All right, so for that first intro clip, the guitar that I used was my ESP LTD EC1000T, one of the older models, a full thickness Eclipse with EMGs in it. And for that tone, I wanted to try one of the newly added Headrush amplifiers, and I chose a model that is based on a Soldano SLO amplifier. I used the model with the EXT mod to be precise, because that sounded the most juicy to me. So yeah, it's kind of cool that with this new version of ReValver, they added all of those Headrush amplifiers and effects too, I believe. So ReValver isn't just ReValver anymore, it's also your Headrush, but then in your DAW basically. So it's like ReValver and Headrush had a baby basically. Anyway, so that's why I wanted to try one of those amplifiers for that first demo, and I thought it sounded great. Now for this demo, I used the RIR cabinet modeler with one of the sort of stock Headrush cabinets, the 2x12 B30 cabinet to be precise, and I made a blend between two different microphone options, the 121 and the 57. And in order to use two cabinet blocks, I used the splitter block. In the stomp section, I have a noise gate going on and then a phaser, which I'm only enabling in the bridge section on the left guitar. And I'm also using an EQ pedal here, which I'm sort of using as a boost or pre-shaper to make the tone a little bit more focused and tight. And in the effects section, I'm doing some very subtle tweaking, just scooping out a little bit of mids, but just a very small amount to fine-tune the tone a little bit. Now let's try one of the ReValver amplifiers with a baritone 7-string tuned to B flat. That's my LTD SC607B to be precise, with the EMG 81.7 in the bridge. Okay, let's take a listen. Cool, so that was the old licensed Peavey 6505 amp model. On the lead channel for some nice thick high gain tones, of course. In the RIR2 cabinet block, I used one of the Flat Hill cabinets, the Studio 4x12, I believe. And again, using a blend between a 57 mic and a 121 mic. Again, using the splitter block so I can blend those two cabinets together. In the stomp section, again, I'm using the noise gate and then the Tube Screamer model for more tightness, focus, and aggression. So yeah, that's it. Simple and effective, but I like it. Now the tone definitely is sort of unique, and it does have a sort of typical ReValver sound, if that even is a thing. It sort of has this round and MIDI tone going on, which is kind of cool. So you can definitely get some great tones with these amplifiers and these cabinets. Okay, let's try one more tone, but let's try something different, something a bit more unique with a slightly more clean tone. I'm going to use my ESP LTD Phoenix Arctic Metal with the EMG 81TW on the split setting for a sort of single coily sound through one of the Budda amplifiers, so that should be interesting. Check it out. Great, I loved that. So I wanted to go for something unique and something that was also unique to this platform, so I chose one of the Budda amplifiers with a matching Budda cabinet. The amp that I chose was the Budda SuperDrive V20 amp with a matching Budda 4x12 cabinet in the RIR2 cab modeler, again with a blend between a 57 and a 121 mic. Now in the stomp section, I'm actually using two Budda effect pedals as well, a compressor and a chorus, just to make it sound a little bit more lush. And in the effects section, I'm using a delay and a reverb for some nice ambience. So yeah, sounded great to me. Really cool tone. So what are my thoughts on ReValver 5? Well, I do think that it's cool that they added all the Headrush stuff. So now there's the option to have your Headrush tones inside of your DAW. So that's great. So now there's even more stuff to choose from. So many of the amplifiers and cabinets do sound quite good. Sometimes you really need to go in and tweak the tone a bit, but yeah, you can definitely get some great tones here. I definitely had a lot of fun with the amps, the effects, the cabinets, and all that good stuff, so you can really go in and get creative with all the tools available. Now, I don't think that they added a lot of new stuff in terms of newly made amp models and stuff like that, so some of you might not like that, and I would understand, but if you enjoy those classic ReValver tones and or the Headrush tones in terms of effects and amplifiers, you will definitely have some fun here and get some good tones, okay? Again, with some tweaking here and there and some tone searching, you will definitely be able to get some great guitar tones. And if you don't like the built-in cabinets, for example, you can just load in your own IRs or even load in a plugin to the platform, so that's kind of cool. Now, I will say though that in comparison to the Headrush Prime hardware, which I also have, it was easier for me to get some great tones inside of ReValver 5 rather than the Headrush hardware for some reason. And I don't know why it is, perhaps it's just a workflow thing, but that's something that I noticed. Going into this, I was kind of expecting ReValver 5 to sound a little bit dated, but I did have a lot of fun. I ended up getting some great tones. So if there is a free demo to try out or anything like that, definitely give it a go. I did run into one or two issues when using this plugin inside of my DAW, which is Cubase 12. For some reason, I couldn't automate any of the effects, so bypass the effects with automation and stuff like that. So maybe this is a bug with the beta version or something like that. But if that ends up being an issue for multiple users, I'm sure that they'll fix it soon. I also encountered some crashes here and there with shutting down the plugin or shutting down my DAW, so that will hopefully also get fixed. Quick disclosure, this video was sponsored, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are 100% my own. So, do I recommend checking out ReValver 5? And do I think that it's still a relevant platform? Yeah, definitely check it out. There are definitely some great tones to be had inside of ReValver 5. If you end up liking this platform or not is up to you really, so give it a go. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you found it useful. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like and subscribe down below, as that really helps the channel out. And you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers!